We were on track for the next stimulus check, and then we weren't. For months, we've been going back and forth in Congress with the House and the Senate to come to an agreement on the next stimulus check and the next stimulus package. And then they agreed on it, and then it fell apart. So are we going to get the $600 or could it be $2,000? Now let me go through what happened and what you might be able to expect moving forward from the next stimulus check and package. But before we do, if it's your first time at our channel or you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button at the bottom. My name is Travis, Sickle Certified Financial Planner, helping you reach your financial goals. All right, so here's what happened. We had a bill that was 5,593 pages, incredibly long, that passed the House. And then we were wondering how fast it was going to pass the Senate. And it was really quick. So it went straight through. And if you saw, I put a poll out that asked, do you think the $600 stimulus check will get passed by Congress before the end of the year? Now, I should have said, should it pass altogether? Should it pass the president and get signed into law so we can get a stimulus check in the next stimulus package? But we don't have that just yet. But it did pass Congress. And I was asking by the end of the year, at 60% of you said yes, and 40% said no of the 148 that took the vote. So we were thinking that Congress was really just the bottleneck to the agreement to get to the next stimulus check and package. But that got stopped by President Trump yesterday, which I did not see coming. And that's why I went through that 5,593 page stimulus package. And it had a ton of stuff in it. But here's what Trump had to say about the stimulus package.
It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID relief bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID.
And there are literally thousands of pages in there that has nothing to do with the pandemic or the stimulus check. So President Trump says he wants that stuff out of there. And he also said about the $600 stimulus check that he wants $2,000. And he was very clear. Here's what he had to say.
I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. I'm also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation.
So that's $2,000 per individual, $4,000 for married filing jointly, and potentially, maybe that wasn't as clear, potentially $2,000 for each dependent or each child. But $2,000 is a lot more than the $600 that was in this bill. It was one of the lower numbers that was pushed for the stimulus check. Now, there were bills that had 0 and 300, but 600 was still on the lower side. And then this shockingly happened where House Speaker Nancy Pelosi agrees with President Trump. Republicans repeatedly refused to say what the president wanted for direct checks. At last, the president has agreed to $2,000. Democrats are ready to bring this to the floor this week by unanimous consent. Let's do it. So the Democrats are in agreement with President Trump on the next stimulus check for $2,000. But we have to see if the Republicans are going to get on board with taking out some of the other stuff of the bill, in addition to adding back $2,000 for each individual to get a stimulus check that is significantly bigger than the $600. But now it becomes a timing thing. But we also can't forget, if you're still wondering if you're going to qualify for the check, how much of a stimulus check that you can get. And I will certainly do all the calculations on future stimulus bills and stimulus checks that come out so you can figure out exactly how much of a stimulus check you're going to get. But the days are counting down, so you still want to make sure that you're below these thresholds. And it looks like for married filing jointly, it's going to be $150,000, and for singles, it's going to be the $75,000. And most likely, head of household head of household will be the $112,500. So if you're at those thresholds, it's likely you'll maximize your check. So if you can, make those contributions to your retirement plans to reduce your adjusted gross income, because you do have some time. And if you missed a deadline from now until the end of the year, you can still potentially, if you qualify for it, a traditional IRA up until you file your taxes in the April deadline. So pay attention to that. Make sure that you're doing everything that you can to maximize your stimulus check. So now we're just gonna have to wait to see what Congress does. Are they just gonna vote on it and send it right over the president's head? Or will they move forward and actually make those changes to the $2,000 and take some of the stuff out of that bill? And then the president can sign it, and then we can get some stimulus and a relief in this country. So that is the update for the stimulus check and the stimulus package. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave your comments down at the bottom.